Yo, what it do, man? It's Podson Radio. We back in the house for another very special episode. It's Phoenix, Arizona's number one motherfucking podcast. Nigga been doing this shit for a long time. We gonna keep doing it for a long time. Whether I'm doing it in Phoenix or not, I still got the desert on lock, and I'm coming through and fighting anybody who feel different. But I brought my one of my special guests through in this motherfucker. He born and raised in the desert and too like that. But first, I gotta shout out my co-host from the No Cap and All Drip. First of all, where has No Cap and All Drip been? Where y'all niggas been at?
Sheesh, we've been on a little hiatus trying to rethink and revamp, but we'll be back with some podcasts and some more content. But shit, shout out to No Cap and All Drip. Shout out to Mr. Go Get Him. It's your boy Carmine Key.
Yeah, my nigga Bailey. Bailey the funniest nigga.
Funny
bro,
nigga
I ever met, bro. That nigga be
that nigga.
He still rapping?
No comment.
All right, man. Well, yeah, shout out to my dog Keith, man, coming through. This my nigga from actually going to school and shit like that. Like we
Since
grew
reduced
up
lunch.
Yeah, real shit. But I gotta introduce my guest. We got a skateboarder, but he's much more than that. He's a musician. He does his thing. He's sponsored by 10 to 15 different companies, so I don't want to try to rattle them off. But we got Dashawn Jordan in the building. Give him a little applause. You know what I mean? Thank you for sitting in, though, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Nigga, you ain't even talking into the mic.
The mic
Look at
is
this
that
nigga.
He used to be a mic.
Hey, he know what's up, bro. I dead ass thought that shit was on my shirt.
All right, so let's try that again. So how you doing over there, brother? Thank you for
I'm doing good. I'm doing great.
All right, so talk to the people. So obviously I'm from Maryville, you know what I mean? Came up in El Mirage after that, Where are you from in Arizona, man? Talk to the people. You look tired like you've been on flights all week, but where are you from?
No, I'm originally from, I was born in Glendale, Arizona, and then I moved, and then I came back and went to all my years of education in Chandler and grew up there, so. Okay. But originally born in Glendale, Arizona.
Okay, all right. Now, I know you probably media trained, so I probably won't have to guide you through this too much, but talk to us about your come up. Like, what was the difference for one moving from Glendale out to Chandler?
I was still super young when I moved from Glendale. I actually from Glendale, I went to Macon, Georgia for a couple of years, and then my grandma lived in Tucson, Arizona, and then after a couple of years, we went out there for a holiday, and when they drove us back, I just went back with my grandma. I lived in Tucson for a little bit,
yeah,
and then after being there for a couple of years, I moved from there to Chandler. So I was in Tucson for a little bit, started skating there, and then when I moved to Chandler, I kind of continued on skateboarding and everything, and then my love for it and progressed, started growing.
Got you. All right, well, let's put some numbers on it. So what age was you when you moved from Macon, Georgia back and came to Tucson?
To Macon, Georgia, I was probably I don't even know, maybe 7, 6. I was really young when I moved from Glendale. Yeah, I was maybe even younger than that, actually. And then from Georgia to Tucson, I was probably about 10, maybe.
Yeah,
I was there for a couple of years. Yeah, I was still young, and then I kind of got to maybe 13, 12 in Tucson, Arizona. Then I moved to Phoenix, and then kind of just finished everything there.
Okay, well then give me this then. So you was way too young at that point, but so for the fact that you were skateboarding at that point, you kind of like a boxer, who grows up just boxing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, for skating, I didn't even really grow up skating. I kind of before skating, I was in a dance group for years. I played club football, a bunch of club sports, roller skated, bike. I did a lot of stuff with them. When I started skating, it just, I don't know, I just got super into it and started loving it a lot and just kept doing it and just more things started happening as, living through experience.
Yeah, you fucking up my journalistic point of view because the thing is, I want to paint a picture before you start skating. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So give us whatever you can before you start skating that you can remember and shit like that.
Dang, before I started skating, I was in dance groups and stuff.
Yeah, so give us that. What was y'all dancing to, first of all?
It was hip hop dancing. Yeah, it was hip hop dancing, consistently, just dedicated to dancing, practice, every weekend, shows, battles, everything. I was really into it. I did that how I skate. Anything I did to, I was kind of 100% into it and put all my energy and effort into it because I wanted to be good at it. Yeah, of course.
We're gonna have to get him on TikTok or something.
That's always. I feel once you do that, that's always a part of you. You always have that rhythm. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of where it comes from. And even bringing that to the skate world, it all kind of intertwines with each other.
Yeah. And I was just going to ask that, how do you feel the rhythmic portion of it, kind of coincides or runs parallel with the athletic world and shit?
I would say style. I think style plays a big part in like what you do kind of before you skate. Because some people who have just came up skating and only learned about skating, and the progression, waves and stuff of that has only dedicated their energy and like time to doing that. They haven't really had a lot of time to figure out their style and all that stuff. And that kind of comes later.
Yeah.
But since I was in dancing, and stuff that was very rhythmatic and like, it helped me, always be in that type of field of like doing stuff. It's like, oh, music, I was always around things that help find my beat, like help find my tone, what my style of dancing was. And I feel like when I got to skating, I was kind of familiar with that, that process. And I kind of knew how I wanted to skate when I started getting more into skating and, saw what styles I thought were smooth, you know what I mean? And so I just kind of practiced and, my style kind of found itself as I got older, but.
All right, Keith, you got any questions?
Yeah, it's funny because I was actually in a hip hop dance group in like 6th grade. And then I just remember like the performances we did, like the pep rallies and stuff like that. So when you were on the team, like where were you guys performing at? Like little high school stuff, or like where were you guys doing your routines at?
We were performing at kind of wherever, the battles were. If it was at a convention center or if we had a show at, a school gym, it was kind of wherever they based the performances and the battles at. So once they were announced, that's kind of where we went. But it was definitely like along the lines of like convention centers and like, school, gyms,
talent shows
or whatever. Yeah. And it was a group kind of outside of all that. So it was just like a hip hop dance group where it was all these people, from wherever in Tucson, Arizona they lived, kind of got into this group. And and then that's how we met each other. Yeah. Exactly.
That's
so
dope, bro. That's dope.
All right. So then you start full-fledged skating. At what point do you feel like, yo, I can be the nigga at this? Like, or like, did you feel like you was just colder than everybody? Like,
I feel like there was never a point where I thought like that because I didn't know what skating was. Like when I started skating, I had no idea it could be a career. I had no idea I could make I didn't know what it was. I just started doing it because my friends around me were doing it and I was hyped on it. Like, you know what I mean? Just the anticipation for wanting to skate again, it was there, and just all my friends, they shared that, feeling of skating and getting hyped on skating. And so when I was around them, I was like, I want to try it. I want to do it. And so I would like here and there, I would start skating using their boards. I never owned my own. And so I was always around with them hanging out. And these are my friends, that we all roller skated together at Skateland, skate country in Tucson, all nighters. Like we hung out all the time. It was like my neighborhood friends. And they were always bouncing around, you know what I mean? And to me, they were like skateboarders. I didn't know what skate. I was like, oh, they're skating. Yeah, like they're good at it. I want to get as good as them.
Yeah.
So then I started skating. And then I was moving from Tucson actually. And I had one of my friend's boards. It was a blind skateboard. It's a company that's been around for years. And it was all chipped up. I didn't understand the difference between a messed up board or not. So I was just hyped on it. And I was supposed to give it to him before I moved to Phoenix. But I didn't have time to take it to his house. So I just took it.
Come up.
Yeah. And so I took it with me to Phoenix, Arizona. And I remember the wheel was falling off. I didn't know how to fix it. So I went to AutoZone. They helped me because I lived like right across the street from AutoZone. Yeah.
They had a little truck tool?
No, they had a little, I think, lock nut.
Just like to tighten up the wheel.
To put the wheel on. So they helped me put the wheel on. I was stoked. I was back in business, kept skating. And the apartments I actually moved into, the front office was warning me about this kid in the complex. They were like, stay away from this kid, Curtis. He's bad. Like, just whatever you do to stay away from him. And so the first day I got into the complex, I got on my board and just kind of skate around and, scope the scene out, scope the apartment complex out. And I just saw a kid skating and I went up and talked to him and it was Curtis.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was like, shout out Curtis. It was a blessing, you know what I mean? In a way, because like he took me to my first skate park, which is the park I started.
That's
like,
God, bro.
I started growing up
Everybody
skating.
told you stay away from him.
Yeah, exactly. So I grew up, he took me to my first ever like real skate park. And then I got familiar with where it was. I started going there a bunch. That actually is my home park now where I grew up skating, learned everything. So, yeah, I always commend it from that. We're in contact here and there, you know what I mean? But, yeah, I was super hyped to meet him, and I feel like he kind of started me off to, that first intro of what skateboarding was because I saw more people skating. I saw people doing tricks. I started seeing different styles and clothes people were wearing and wanted to, like, dress like a skater and be like a skater. So then that kind of was where I got my influence from. And then, throughout years of experience and just growing up, I started developing my own style and my own, things that I was interested in. But
so at what point, and it's funny because being a journalist, like I know for a fact, it's going to be hard getting out of you because I want to praise you for this because you're so modest and so humble, bro. Like,
appreciate it.
It's ridiculous. But what point did you start becoming that nigga?
I don't know. I would say things started becoming more real. I started realizing that, I had potential to, actually do so much skating and be a bigger icon was I started skating a lot of contests. And, the first year I won a skating contest from here, actually, it was a big one they do here. It's called Phoenix Am. And they do maybe a couple of big AM contests in the world, and Phoenix Am is one of them. And so everybody comes to Arizona to skate this contest as an amateur skateboarder. And I wanted to get into it one year, but they didn't let me because they said I didn't have, big enough sponsors. And so I wasn't even really sponsored at the time. I maybe had a couple of local ones. And then I want to say a year or two went by and they let me in for the first time. Then I made it to finals and I got ninth. I think it was out of like 200 some people or 100 some people. And then after that, it kind of started getting realer because people were like, who's this kid? You know what I mean? Like, what the heck? And so I started skating, more and more of them. And then I started, getting hit up by people that ride for, bigger companies and stuff like that. And that's when it kind of started getting more real because after the companies I got on for a little bit, whether I'm still on them today, I was on them and I either, moved up with, where I was at the company, meaning because when you first get on the company, it's like representative flow, which is like a dude who gets a budget and within their budget of whatever else they have to do, they send you shoes, So it could be like 1 pair of shoes, 2 pair of shoes, just whatever they can send you as being, rep flow, what they call it. And then the next level is like team manager flow. And when you go to team manager flow, the budget's bigger, you get more shoes, you know what I mean? You're a little bit, you start, elevating up. You own a little bit more. And then, once I would say, I don't know if it was my second or third Phoenix Am, all the companies I was riding for was like, yo, we want to start, doing TM flow with you, team manager flow. And so that's when I was like, kind of like, oh, okay, like this is going somewhere a little bit, like they're starting to actually like value me. And so, them, of course, my work ethic got, even greater, you know what I mean? And it was just like, okay, it was still at that point, and even to this day now, I'm still trying to like, do more and, become even greater. But it was definitely, an inspiring moment for me, just realizing that, people were actually starting to want to invest more into me, you know what I mean? And actually give me more of, time and opportunity to shine. So, things started getting real. And then, next thing you know, just, everything started unfolding quickly. But
I want to give you a shine moment for that, bro, because, and you super young still, like you don't even realize like how things have probably even unfolded for you, but definitely God got his hand on you. But, you got this twinkle in your eyes, you know what I mean? Like a nigga, only niggas who like really serious got, you know what I mean? But how did your first sponsorship come about and who was it?
My first sponsorship was actually an Arizona company. It was called Homicide Skateboards. And they were ran out of a shop called Ski Pro. It was actually it was like a snowboard / like skateboard store. Like they had a lot of stuff in it. It was like a sporting goods.
Yeah, you get shoes, decks, grip tape, snowboards.
And, and the skate section they had in there was very small, but the majority of it was snow stuff. The name Ski Pro. That's why I was called Ski Pro. And so I was on Homicide, and I actually got on that company because it was a group of guys I started hanging out with from my local park who were like older than me. Like they were like the Arizona skate scene, you know what I mean? And I just knew them because I was always at Chandler Skate Park, the park that Curtis took me to, like every day. Like every day from
all day.
When I got off, junior high school or whatever, elementary school, to like 10:30 at night when the park closed, like until the lights were off, I was there every day. I would even
shine moment.
Yeah, I would even skate there like from my crib that was maybe about like 2 miles away, 3 miles away. I would just skate there, by myself. Just if I couldn't find a ride, I would just skate all the way to the park, skate all day, and then be there till the lights go off and hope, to find a ride home. But then, as I met those dudes, I started hanging out with them more. They took me on some of like my first skate trips, which was like to Flagstaff. It was my first time ever leaving. And then I remember,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I want to say the first thing that happened for me in skateboarding, which was like, I'm getting my first sponsor stuff. They had a magazine that was like a big Arizona skate magazine. It was called AZ Steez, and all the dudes who were like the Arizona scene were always ran in that magazine because like that's where all the ads were, for Arizona skateboarding.
Yeah.
And I remember I was out with them one day and they were like, you do this trick off this wall, we'll give you your first magazine ad in AZ Steez. And I was stoked. And so I did it and got the first ad. And then after that, I was kind of like, yeah, like I'm hyped, like I'm stoked, I'm doing stuff. But then I was on Homicide for a couple of years. And it was cool. Like they kept boards under my feet, you know what I mean? And grip tape, I was kind of able to just go in the shop. And if I need a board, grab a board and grip a board there. And then, years went by, then, bigger things started happening. So,
nah, bro, that's a big shine moment, dog. And just even to hear like that, like the way things happen for you, I feel like is the perfect way that things are supposed to happen for anybody.
Yeah,
you know? And I don't say that a lot, you know what I mean? Or even think that a lot, you know what I mean? But I want to say you were supposed to be doing exactly what you have any questions right now?
Yeah, well, like he kind of to piggyback off what he said, that's how you got your first sponsorship. When did it go from like, you know, the basic ollie, you know, kick flip, hill flip to the more advanced trips? Because I know you said you were skating a little bit in Tucson.
Yeah.
You came out here. Did you pick it up out here? Were you already getting kind of nice in Tucson? Like, where did the more advanced?
You know, it's crazy because I always forget this part of it too. Is before I started skating with my friends, too, like my group of my friends, which was like my group of friends. Sorry. When I first moved into like these little townhouses I lived in Tucson, this family who they had, you know, a couple sons. Some of them are older, and some of them like maybe around my age. One day I lived in a townhouse community that was like all the houses were like this, and in the middle was a street that went all the way down. So everybody's backyard was turned to each other, but the street separated it.
Yeah.
And I saw him out there one day actually, and he had like a skateboard, and the wheels were bigger. It was kind of like a cruiser board, they call them now.
Yeah.
But he was on this board, and I asked to ride it. I think that was my very, very first time on a skateboard. Before later on, my friends got back into it, and like it became something I was more interested in.
Right.
But I got on it and like had to balance off the rip. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't struggling to stand up. I was riding it. I just, you know, didn't know how to do anything. That was like big to me, just riding.
Yeah, because a cruiser, it goes with your body.
Yeah.
So if you swing, you're going to sway on the cruiser.
Exactly. And it was smooth. Like for me, that I was just stoked to even ride on it because I'm a big like adrenaline person. Like I just love, you know, when I get something down, you know, it's like riding an ATV or a dirt bike. When you figure out how to like ride and shift gears, you want to do it all the time.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's how I was for that. Like I got on it, rode at that time, and then that's when later on, you know, my group of friends started skating and stuff. And then it was, I want to say the progression thing started happening definitely when I moved here. Because when I was in Phoenix, I mean, when I was in Tucson, there's actually one time, I don't know how I seen a kickflip. I don't know where I seen it from, but my friends were playing basketball. We were in this apartment complex that was like maybe like 2 or 3 minutes down the street from my house because we kind of all lived in the same like area, you know? And they were playing basketball, and I kept skating back and forth on the basketball court while they were shooting hoops. I was on my friend's board.
It was medicine.
Yeah, and I remember I landed a kickflip. You know what I mean? It's my first time ever doing a trick, and I remember freaking out so much, and nobody saw it. I was like,
shy moment.
I was like, yo, did nobody saw that? And like everybody was still shooting hoops, and nobody saw, man. And so then like later on, when I moved to Tucson, when I moved to Phoenix, and I started seeing more, that's when I started learning about, all these kickflips, trade flips. I didn't know what tricks were when I lived in Tucson. But when I started going to my first local park, you know, Chandler Skate Park, that's when I saw more of it.
People hitting trade flips off a 4-stair.
Yeah. Like people rolling in the quarter pipes and ramps and stuff. And I just like, every day I went, I was just trying to do it. I was just like,
so you was nice without knowing you was nice for real.
Like I think I just like,
he seen it and wanted to do it, so he was trying to hone that until he got it. Like, I'm gonna hit this rail until I get it, or I'm gonna hit this rail until I get
exactly type of thing. And so like then I got to a point I think where I like kind of unlocked it, and then like my mind and my mental for like progression, and like I figured it out. And so every time I was learning a new trick, trying a new trick, like you know, I knew that in order to land it, I had to keep doing it or keep trying. You know what I mean? And doing. I was crazy because I remember when I was younger, I was out skating a skate spot with, you know, the dudes who were the Arizona Skate, you know, group and our skate scene. And we were in the parking lot, and one of the homies was doing a trick, and I was trying to learn it, and I couldn't do it. It was actually a nollie trick. So it was like popping off the nose, and I couldn't get my nose up. And I remember telling myself like, man, I can't do this. Like, I'm never going to be able to do this. And then when I started learning nollie, I just thought about when I told myself I couldn't land it. And so now I always like do that when I'm trying to trick. If I'm trying something that's like, okay, like I want to try this, but I don't know if I can do it. I always just remember like, just keep trying, keep trying. One's going to work. Just keep trying, keep trying. And then like, you can do it. And so
that's a shy moment too.
Yeah. And like ever since I've like kind of put that in my mind of like anything is possible, literally like I'll try a trick. Like I won't even drink a bottle of water. I'll just keep trying to trick until I land one.
At least once.
And then like, you know, you always land one. So I feel like that's like, you know, one thing I even take to my normal life is like, dude, that's why I always tell people is like, don't say it's not possible. Anything is possible.
Yeah, no, bro. Shine on me, bro. And I appreciate you. And even having that mindset, that's damn near just really like the Mamba mentality. And even more for you because you actually just got the God-given talent, which you was kind of saying you didn't even know you had, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you started perfecting that, dog.
Facts.
Like, that's big, man. All right, so I was asking you about your first sponsor, which was local.
Mm-hmm.
How did you first break onto the national scene? What was your first national sponsor, and how did they get their eyes on you?
I was actually, so there was this girl in Arizona, shout out Taylor Woods, who she actually gave me my first shoe sponsor. And my first shoe sponsor was a company called Vox skate shoes. And Vox was like, it was a pretty big company. It'd been around for years, you know, it was an OG company. And I got on like when they were still killing it, you know what I mean? And she was hooking me up with shoes from them for years. And so through her, I think she also was a rep. So
shout out to her.
Yeah, shout out to her for real, because she kept me laced up and helped me out a lot. And so she, I think, also repped for other companies, because when you rep and you rep for a company, if it's a big distribution, there's a lot of other companies within that, you know, distribution. So it's like they have a shoe company, then they have a clothes company, and all these are the same distribution. So like a rep can work for all of those, you know what I mean? And so I think she was working for a couple of other ones at the time, and she kind of knew everybody, you know, coming in, because she was a rep, you know, reps from other companies and stuff. And so she, you know, helped me network that way, you know, and people knew that she was repping me. And so that's how people were like, you know, started having a little interest. And I remember the first time I got on a big sponsor, it was actually Crew. I don't know if you guys know.
Yeah, of course.
Remember Crew was?
Yeah.
I remember I was skating a contest at Rio Vista Skate Park.
Yeah.
And this dude came up to me and he was like, yo, you Dashawn? And I was like, yeah. He was like, my name's Steve Claire. Like I rep for Crew or whatever. He was like, yeah, I actually like somebody like told me about you or whatever. Like they, you know, told me like you were chill dude, you know what I mean? And I would like to, you know, flow you some stuff. And I was just tripping out. I was like, what the heck? Like, what? I was tripping, you know what I mean? And I didn't know who had told them. I had no idea. And then like later on, I found out it was the homie Garrett Gilbert, who was like flow for Crew and Supra, which were together, you know, same distribution. And so I thanked him, you know, that for that. When I seen him, I was like, yo, Steve Claire just hit me up. And I remember after I left that contest, I just remember being so hyped, because he had like hit me up and, you know, wanted to like, you know what I mean, flow me some stuff. And Crew, I knew what Crew was, you know what I mean? And I was like, what the heck? And I remember like, the first time I went home and, you know, we were in contact, and the first day I got my box, I was so stoked. Like I went to the skate park and all Crew stuff. Like I had the Crew hat on, Crew hoodie, Crew pants, Crew socks, everything. I was so excited, dude.
They
and
show love first. It makes sense.
Yeah. And he also, Steve Claire, shout out to him. He also plays a huge part into like me networking, you know, with other people I know. He actually was the one who got me on Nike, because he had he had a friend. He would always ask me like, yo, like if there's any other shoe sponsor you want to be on, like what would you want? And I told him Nike every time he asked me. And he like finally he was like, I might have a friend that, you know, works for Nike that can maybe do something. And I remember I forgot what year Phoenix Sam it was, but they were all out here and they were all staying at a hotel, and I went to, you know, stay at the hotel with them for a day to, you know, to be able to be closer to the contest. And I met him. It was Oliver Flores. Shout out to him, you know what I mean, as well. They were like, I know I was talking to Oliver at the little bar. They were ordering food and stuff. And he was like, yeah, you know, introduce ourselves. He was like, yo, like, if you're ready, I'm ready. You know what I mean? I was like, what? Is that even a question? Right. Like, if I'm ready, like, of course I want to be skating Nikes. Like, I'm ready. And so then, you know, I got back home, and same with that. Like, we were in contact after the whole contest weekend, you know, got my first box of Nikes, you know, 2 pairs, stoked.
Sorry, moment, nigga. What you mean?
OG Nike, like Nike, just regular SB, like Nike SB, Nike Skate, Nike Dunk.
Yeah, Nike SB. Like they had this shoe that was called the team editions. It was like kind of like a thinner shoe, had a small swoosh on it. You know what I mean? It was a cool model. And I had the other pair of shoes were these Costin ones. And those shoes, like the best shoe, one of the best shoes of all time. You know what I mean? And they were all royal blue, white swoosh. Like, and the team editions were all black with the white swoosh. And I remember going to the skate park like that same day. I had the fresh pair of Nike, and I was stoked. I was like, man, what the heck?
That's big. What you mean, nigga?
And then years and years went by, and you know, I just continued to develop a relationship with those dudes, and you know, it's been great. You know, those are like my closest, you know, people, my peers. You know what I mean? Yeah. They literally like. You know, some people are always like, oh, those dudes, I did it for me. You know, some people are like, oh, you know, I did it myself and credit. But like those dudes, Steve Claire, Oliver Flores, Chris Brown, Taylor Woods, like Russ Powell, like all
Chris
those
Brown.
Dudes, that's his name.
Chris Breezy.
Yeah, that's his name. All those people, literally, you know what I mean? Like they really put me in the best position I could be in. You know what I mean? To you know, after they put me there, it was up to me. You know what I mean? And I'm always just stoked that like I was able to. You know, not let them down. You know what I mean? And get get to a level, you know, that's higher than where I was.
Which you've already done, but with your type of attitude and spirit, you have no choice but to take it further. Truthfully, and like where most niggas stumble is they don't have that. They get on and get a little buzz, and they like, yo, I'm lit. You
Cool,
know
yeah.
You know, nigga, it's
Work
lit.
ethic gone.
Exactly.
Gone. It's a wrap.
Yeah,
So yeah, bro, I admire that about you, bro. Big time shine moment. But and I was gonna ask you about the Nike sponsorship, but that's what I said. Media trained niggas end up talking you into that. You know what I mean?
He got you.
So what would you say was the feeling when you went pro?
Man, that just happened. What, like a month ago? I was technically pro in the sense of the contest level I was competing in,
Right.
you know, but I wasn't officially pro with that validation from a skateboarding veteran like OG who has the credibilities, and if he says you're pro, like everybody's like, okay, this dude's pro.
Right.
Like you can be pro with skill all you want, but if you don't have that validation, nobody care about you. And which is what everything. It's like with music.
Everything.
It's exposure.
I like
It's
moment, bro.
exposure.
I like that you said that. Some of the best basketball players will never be in the NBA.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So that like validation is important, and that validation just comes from. I mean, you are You are a reflection of your validation. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? Or the validation is a reflection of you, like whoever you're validated from.
Right.
So it's like. Which I was in the contest scene, you know what I mean? That was just me. Like that was off of, okay, I skated the contest, did good. I got into the pro circuit. Okay, people, you know, some people may believe I have the potential and, you know, the skill level of being a pro skateboarder. Some people might not. I still have to, in my mind, I think I still have stuff to prove. I don't think I'm there, you know what I mean? So at that point, I'm like, okay, you know, I'm in this pro contest, you know, you get a little juice, you know, you're hype, you're competing with, you know, some of your favorite skaters and stuff. And then after that, years and years went by, you know what I mean? I never went pro, you know, for a board company. And, you know, it was a point where all the homies went pro for a board company. And I was like, damn, like, that's sick. Like, I can't wait. You know, I just stayed patient, and the right one came, you know, with the validation of, you know, a skateboarding icon who's like one of the best skateboarders in the world. And so, you know,
And who gave you that validation?
Mark Johnson.
Yeah.
And so, Mark Johnson's like, you know, my spot in the other side of skateboarding, which is, you know, the more core, you know, like, you know, making sure I'm making sure I'm not doing it for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? Because you can be a contest skater, that's cool, but like you got to show, you know, where your heart and your love and your dedication is to really, you know, elevate and change skateboarding, which is, you know, the more core aspect of skating. Right. And so, it's, you know, it's a big difference. And so once I got that validation, you know, now I have my own pro boards, you know what I mean? Which is like crazy to me. Cause now, you know, when people ask me what board you ride, you know, I'm like, yo, like, this is my pro board. You know, it's crazy. I still trip out. I still trip out. And so, yeah, that just happened. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's valid. And I've kind of noticed the changes with, you know, energy and everything. You know, people actually, you know, not that it was something that I was already working to get, you know, because that's always been my thing is, you know, make sure, you know, respectable, you know, people want to be around, you know, things. So it was a little bit there, but it feels good to kind of have that solidification of like, okay, he's there. Like, he somebody validated him to go pro, which, you know, somebody that people actually respect. Okay. You know what I mean? So like, everything just feels good. You know, the timing and everything. People would ask me for years, oh, when are they going to tell you pro? You need to be pro. Like, where's it board? And I literally always would tell people, even when I didn't have a board sponsor, because I didn't have one for like 3 years. And people would always ask me, and I'd be like, dude, like, when the time is right. I was like, God's time is the best time. You know, I was like, I'm not in a rush. Like, I don't care about going pro yet. Like, you know, there's things I feel like I still need to do. And so now when it happened, you know, it was respected and, you know, welcoming by everybody, you know what I mean? All my peers, it was people at my pro party that I didn't even think would be there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like legends, you know what I mean? Like we're there, you know, people within companies I ride for that were there at the pro party and it meant a lot to me, you know what I mean? And so it was just another, you know, another mode up.
I was supposed to be there, but you know, Josh was bullshit.
Yeah. It was another, you know, aspect of inspiration that, you know, has driven me even more on top of, you know, what my strong dedication I have now, but it was definitely, you know, a booster. But yeah, that's kind of like the whole pro debut, and it's still in effect. You know, my boards are just probably going to be, you know, due to all like the C Void stuff, you know, like they're probably going to be done. And, you know, if the world's back moving, you know, around like beginning of May, that's, you know, everybody hopes, that's when they'll be dropping in stores and online. But like this just happened, you know what I mean? Right. Like I just officially went pro. It's still fresh. And so I got a part dropping, you know, hopefully at the beginning of May. We just finished up getting the music rights for that. So yeah, a lot of good. I'm stoked, you know what I mean? Just where I'm at in life, mentally and physically. So
yeah, big time shine moment, dog. And before we let you go, and I appreciate you coming through and just chopping it up with us. I want to have you on here about 5 times. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do this a lot. You know what I mean? But what would you say, like, you went pro right now and everything. So what would you say is the best case scenario for you? Like what's coming next? And actually, you know what? I'm sorry to say scratch that question, but I'm gonna ask you that next.
Yeah.
You do music.
Yeah.
You haven't really got to release too much.
Yeah.
Talk to us about your music career and what you hope to come out of that.
So yeah, with music, I've been doing music for years now. All my cousins, I always grew up with, I was always the little one around the older homies. And so when my cousins are rapping, they either wrote raps for me to rap or they would try to get me to freestyle. Yeah. And I was stoked on it. I wanted to do it. I wanted to be, with big cousins, And so I always had a passion and love for music. And I think a lot of that came from dancing too. You know what I mean? Just like that, like I said, that rhythm and that like creative mental space that just like carries over into everything you want to do. And so when I started, freestyling with them, rapping with them or whatever, I just started loving it. You know what I mean? And like I said, I really love music. And for years, I've always made music. And, all my friends, cousins all like, yeah, Sean like rap, like you good. But I've never been the type of person to kind of like get big headed off of like what people tell me, whether my friends or family, because I know it's always somebody out there better than me. Yeah. And you know what I mean? And so like I always worked, everybody works to be the greatest and stuff, but I always, like you said, I'm always like, that's just me, humble. And so they would tell me, you good at rap, all the homies like, you need to start dropping stuff. But I just always been like, okay, I just want to keep, rap, making stuff, getting better and better, finding my sound, getting advice and, constructive criticism back from homies, you know what I mean? And just like to help me get better to that level. And so I've been making music for years. I always just sit on all my music, you know what I mean? I'll send it to some of the homies, close friends, close families or whatever, just keep it in that circle. But yeah, I definitely want to start dropping music at some point. I'm just being a little strategic with that just because in skateboarding, it's a very judgmental sport. And there's been skateboarders who have tried to put out music very I want to say very aggressively in the sense of like they put it out because like, they're confident in their music and then it backfires and it's received the opposite way. You know what I mean? And so then it puts them in this, a hole where it's like, man, like this dude trying to become a rapper, like, you know what I mean? And so with my whole music is like, I've been making music for a minute now. You know what I mean? I kind of know, I feel like, I know what's good music, what sounds good, what's horrible, because I listen to everything, like every single type of music, country, like everything. And so I've sent, some of my songs to people who didn't even know I made music, like team managers, my agent, like, just to get an honest feedback on, you know what I mean? So I know, okay, if somebody random heard this song, what would they think about it? And how can I make a song to where it's very hard to hate on the song? Yeah. I want to talk about real stuff. I want the beat to be good. Like I want all that. And so that's what I always aim to do is make music that like it's hard to hate on because it's nothing but real coming from the song, whether it's a fun song or whether it's something like talk about what's actually happening. I'm not going to talk about a big house I got. I'm not going to talk about drugs. I don't like nothing I do. I don't want to talk about because when you put something, when you put something out, everything you put out is a reflection of me. Absolutely. And so
shy moment.
Yeah. And so that's kind of how I'm with the music is, I make music. I'm always making music. I was actually at the studio yesterday and, made some stuff, but at some point I want to start dropping music. Actually one of, my peers, Shane O'Neill, he's like the most talented skateboarder in the world. I was talking to him in Tampa, Florida for the contest you were going to try to make it out to. And I went up and I had them play Rod Wave when I skated.
Fire.
Yeah, I had them play.
I'm from Florida.
Okay, yeah, I had them play Rod Wave when I skated. And after I skated, I went up the quarter pipe and Shane was like, "Yo, Dashawn, was that your song?" And I was like, "Nah, what the heck? I would never like go up and tell him to play my song while I skate. Like, I'm not even like that yet. Like, that's not my song." Yeah. And so then the TM Scuba, who was right next to him, told him, I think when I skated away, and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm stoked Dashawn knows like that's not okay yet." And I was like, I know it's not okay yet because that's not how I'm trying to come out with this. Like when I'm dropping music, it's because I love it. Like I'm not dropping to get a deal off of it. Like I want to drop it because I want to show people I love doing something else and I have a passion for it. And like, I literally want to do it. Not because I'm like in any way trying to have any type of gain off of it. If that happens, so be it. Like, but that's all I've ever done stuff off of it was me purely loving it.
I like that, bro.
And so that's when I want to drop music. You know what I mean? I got some stuff I'm working on and I've been working on, and I'm just honestly just timing is everything. And you know what I mean? With me just going pro, Shane also had another point. He was like, you got to be considerate of what Mark wants to do as well with the company. You know what I mean? So like me going pro for the company and not just saying I'm gonna drop an album, it could kind of mess up the lanes of things with just the skateboarding coaching.
This is where I got to give you a little bit of advice. You know what I'm saying? Because you are super dope for one.
Appreciate it.
But outside of being super dope, because there's a lot of dudes that's dope. But if you got a super passion for it, one thing I will say is don't ever be scared. You know, because that time will pass you up fast. And like one of our guys, like somebody like Will Clay, you know what I mean?
Facts.
Who feels like he's in a box now because he didn't put it out early enough or whatever the case may be.
Super dope.
And
Will Clay is dope.
The thing about being a dope athlete is like, yeah, I'm dope, but this is like one little small portion of your life.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Literally a small portion. As long as God graces you, you know, and blesses you to live forever. So nigga, just don't be scared.
Facts.
At the end of the day, I understand for the team, but do what's best for you. You know
what
I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's what I'm starting to like, you know, realize is like, you know, I'm learning how to balance that as well. You know, like Mark knows I make music. I sent him a song. He loved the song.
No, you're
and
dope.
So it's, you know, unfortunately, you know, skateboarding's a very judgmental sport. A lot of, politics and stuff. Sorry. But it's like, that's how I'm learning how to, I told my friends the other day how to naturally like force people to like receive everything, you know, in a very like humble way. Yeah. So with that being said, is like, you know, I sprinkle it out all the time. Like I got a music Instagram now. I want to start putting stuff on, you know what I mean? Like people know I make music. Everybody knows I make music. My agent, the dude that owns the board company I ride for, the teams at the shoe company I ride for, like they know I make music, but I just haven't, you know, I haven't taken that step to put something out. But they know what's up. They've heard some of it, you know what I mean? And I haven't got bad feedback back yet about, you know, the songs I make. And so that's that, you know, that kind of, you know, inspires me to like keep doing it. And, you know, the time that I even, you know, got into, well, you know, that clicked in my head that I want to actually start dropping stuff at sometime soon. I was actually at my big bro's house, TJ Mizell, in California. He's actually Jam Master Jay's son. Yeah. So we, you know, he's my, you know, I look for them for all my advice on music and everything like, and, you know, more so of that, like they're my family, you know, like they're like my big brothers. And so we had a family dinner. He had a family dinner at his crib, and it was like me, Ferg's uncle, him. You know, they had a chef cooking food and stuff. And I was talking to Fergus about skating for like 20 minutes. He was like, asking me, how's it going? You know, how's Nike? You know, how's your life? You know, in that aspect of it. And then we got to the table and we're eating, and he's like right in front of me, and he's like, yo, he was like. I heard something. He was like, "What you want to do with your music?" And he was like, "Yeah, well, like TJ be playing it. We'll be touring the studio. Like, it's dope." And he was like, "What you want to do with it?" And I was like, you know, I just, you know, mess around. I have fun. Like, I love it, but you know, I just mess around. He was like, "No." He was like, "You should do something with it." He was like, "You should drop an EP or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do some stuff. Like, we do some stuff. Like, you know, post about. Like, he was like, you should like really drop something." So after that, I was kind of like, okay, like
motivation.
Yeah, it was motivation. You know what I mean? And so that's, you know, I always
if you was trash, especially for the fact you Josh, brother, I'd have told you it was trash.
Yeah, facts.
But you dope. So I hit him and I was like, "Yo, bro, it's dope." Like I didn't even look at none of your skateboarding stuff before I heard that song. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't, because I didn't feel like it. Because that's not me.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
facts.
After that, I wanted to look at all that stuff because I was like, "Yo, this nigga's cold." Like,
bro, everything. And just so people aren't confused, when you say Ferg, you mean ASAP Ferg, right?
Ferg,
just so, because some people that's gonna go over their head. You know what I mean? So
Ferg,
someone who's actually in the business, doing it at a high level, and is well respected, told you.
Yeah. And he has no reason to tell me something to make me feel good. Like he gonna keep it blunt. Like Ferg is real. TJ, the big bro, real. Like I tell him, like my bro TJ will tell me, like, okay, like yo, like you hit this note here, like switch that, like, you know, this sound, like in this chorus, try to, like, he'll tell me, and that's why. You know, I love it because they actually give me good criticism back, and like I take it. Like I've always been the person, like even if it's in the moment and I'm acting like I'm frustrated, I'm always gonna use what you tell me. Yeah. And I'm always gonna take it with me. I'm never blogging it out. Like I'm always listening. Like, okay, like he said, you know, to put my foot this way for a kickflip board. Like I use everything. Yeah. So like you know, I'm all the information and, you know, ideas and, you know, criticism I get from everybody around me. You know, I value that a lot.
And that's big, bro. Just your ability to listen, dog. I'm telling you, like, you gotta listen first before you can lead.
Facts.
So that's a major shine moment. But I appreciate you coming through and kicking with us, man. I ain't gonna take too much more of your time. Last question is, what do you see coming next for you in your skate career?
So the pro debut just happened. My boards will be hitting shops and stuff soon. That's obviously a big thing, you know, coming. I'm also dropping a video part that I worked on, you know, that is also going to be kind of tied to that. That drops, I think, in the beginning of May. With if everything goes right with the coronavirus and stuff. And then they postponed Olympics and everything, so that's next year. 2021 summer, I think. And so that's kind of like my big objective. But in the meantime, still trying to film, hopefully another video part, and just get ready for, everything else. But just more than so, just stay on it, stay healthy mentally and physically, and, just be prepared for anything.
Well, I'm proud of you, dog. And it was nice just to meet you, and just how tied in you is, obviously, like just to the family and shit like that is nuts. But then how talented you is outside of that, and how much you've traveled the world and everything you've done is impressive and amazing. You know what I'm saying? So I like to look forward to what you got doing next. And I'll be coming to fuck with you. I know I'll be, mostly Josh be bullshit, and I'll be bullshitting sometimes too, but I'll be there at some point. Trust me.
Pull up.
Facts.
Big Keith, you got anything to say, man? Appreciate you.
No, just thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me be a part of another dope interview, and it was good meeting.
Yeah, pleasure meeting you as well.
All right, go ahead, Sean. You got the floor. Tell people where to follow you. Talk about anything you got to talk about.
So my Instagram handle is just at Dashawn Jordan. I'm on Twitter. I believe that one's at Dashawn D Jordan, or at Dashawn Jordan as well. And then pretty much on all like social media handles, so you can get at me that way. But just stay tuned. I want to keep everything going, and do some projects here back in AZ. Got a nonprofit that I'm working on with my big brother, so that's obviously that's going to be a community outreach type of thing, and we will be doing like events and give backs and stuff for the communities in Arizona. So.
Shine on me, man. It's Podson Radio, dog. I want to once again give Dashawn Jordan love for coming through fuck with us. Shout out to Keith and No Cap and Audrey podcast. We're gonna keep doing our thing, but everybody stay safe amongst this coronavirus, whatever y'all got going on. Stay in the house, stop the spread. You know what's going on. But Podson Radio, man. Much love to everybody.